Now we've completed the modelling of all the parts, we're going to move on to the creation of the assembly, as you can see in front of you here. I'm going to close this down. Then I'm going to open all the files that I've created and leave them in the background. It just makes it a little quicker and easier when you're bringing them into the assembly drawing. Okay, so File New and create a new assembly. The first part we're going to bring in is the base. I'm just going to drop it in place. You're going to see here at the moment that it's dropped it into the assembly as the initial part, and it's located, it's fixed. So you'll see here the F in brackets before base means it's fixed, so I can't actually drag it or move it anywhere. However, that may not be in the perfect position for me. In fact, in this case, this isn't the wrong edge. This needs to be facing the other way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to float. I'm now going to use mating of planes to relocate the base. So first of all, I'm going to look at the front plane. I'm going to make that with the front plane, but what I want to do is I want to flick it the other side and then accept that. Next, I'm going to look at the top plane. I'm going to locate that with the top plane. I'm going to accept that. Then I'm going to look at the right plane and I'm going to locate that with the right plane on the assembly and accept that there. It's a good way to check as well, as I'm just going to show all of these planes here. If they're not visible, first of all, it's because they're turned off up here in view planes. And now you can see that the planes are going perfectly through the center of the base, but also the base is flush with the top plane. So if we come to do any photo rendering at a later date, then that makes it much easier for us to work with. And now I'm going to turn these planes back off. Next we're going to insert the valve port block. So insert component, and we're going to scroll down and we can actually pin this in place and leave that here. Valve port block, only one of those. If I go to mate, I'm going to mate this circle here, make it concentric with this circle here. It's upside down, so flip it over. Then I have this circle here, I'm going to make that concentric with this circle here. And then finally this face and this face, and then right and tick it. And again, a good test always in isometric, just see if it's moving. No, it's not moving at all. And you can also see if the part's been fully constrained because there's not a negative in brackets before this, so you'd have brackets minus then brackets, I mean it wasn't fully constrained or mated in place. Next we're going to insert the cylinder vert. So one cylinder vert. Going to mate this here with concentric of that circle, and this face here with the base face, except isometric. You should have this flexibility, so it should still rotate, and we can leave that in place. Next on our parts list, it's saying it's bringing in an M5 shoulder screw. Insert component, M5 shoulder screw. I'm going to go concentric from there to there. I'm going to go flush from that part there, and I'm going to go to the underside of this face. And the other technique that I do use to make things look a lot neater, at the moment this is rotating, don't want it to rotate, so I'm going to mate this face here and this face here. It's going to say there's a problem with the mate. I don't want it to be a coincident mate, I want it to be parallel, and then tick and accept that. It just means when we come through to produce a drawing, everything looks nice and neat. So that's that in place. Next we have our flywheel post. Insert flywheel post. Our flywheel post is going to be mated here, concentric from that circle, that circle, that circle, that circle, and then we have face to face. Again, pop to isometric so you can just double check that everything's okay. Accept that. Then we have the flywheel web that's coming in, and we have the flywheel rim. What I'm actually going to do though is I'm going to file save as, save this here, and I'm going to save this as elbow engine. Save. I'm going to create a new assembly, and I'm going to create a sub-assembly. So we'll bring these components in as a sub-assembly. So first of all, we have our flywheel web. Then we'll insert component, and we'll go flywheel rim, and we'll pop that in place. Going to mate, going to make this outside face, that'll make it concentric, like so. Just going to double check on our drawing where that's located. So we'll place here. This face here. If we do that, we can see that's fine, but actually it's going to be clashing. So we can flip the mate around. Just say OK to that, and tick, and tick. And again, you can check by just going into the section, select the alternative view. There you go, that's perfectly fitted in there. Finally though, it looks fine, but we've still got a negative on the flywheel rim because we can actually rotate this around the outside. Difficult to see because we have a flat surface, but that's actually rotating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mate, and I'm going to pick up the flywheel rim. I'm going to go for a plane like so. And then I'm going to go back into my flywheel, and I'm going to locate that parallel to there. There we go, a coincident to that. Now that's going to be fully constrained, and the part won't move around the outside. So file save as. So we're going to call that flywheel sub-assembly. We're actually going to add into that the cylinder horizontal as well. So insert component, cylinder horizontal, mate. I'm going to mate it concentrically like this. We're just going to double check on the drawing the actual position of that. This face here in there is going to be flush with this face here. Accept that. And then finally, we're going to do the same again. I'm going to go into a front view though, because we need to make sure that we're located in that kind of position. So we have one of the webs in there, and we have a hole that's vertically through that as well. Now we'll have to open up the cylinder horizontal and just check which plane actually slices through. So that plane there, the right plane, you can see goes through the center of one of those circles, so that's fantastic. And then we can look at the right plane there, make them parallel. Okay, that's in that position there. I'm going to flip it around so it goes like that, and that's it. So I'm just going to save. I'm just going to hold the Control and Tab to open up my preview windows. Go back into the assembly. Now insert, and then we're going to insert the flywheel sub-assembly, like so. Mate, going to mate this circle here, concentric with that circle there. Going to flip it around. Going to make that face there with that face there. Accept that. Perfect. Next, going to insert components. Going to insert 3 pistons. One. If I actually click this here, allow me to pick multiple pistons. 2, 3, and accept. That's critical that the outside circle here goes to a top circle there. So mate, going to click that shaft. Going to come in and select this here. That shaft to that shaft there. Checking it works. Works fine. Here to here. Here to here. Accepting that. Again, I'm just going to check it's working okay. Every now and again you can get some glitches. That to that. And then finally, in here to here. Accept. Just double check that that's working okay. It's moving. Brilliant. What you will see is this is moving at the moment. So if we're going to produce a drawing, we want this to be perfectly vertical. So I'm going to add a holding mate. So I'm going to add a mate here, this face to this face, make it parallel. Accept that, and then open up my mates, and I'm just going to name this in here holding mate. What it means, if we actually come to do any animations later on, we can quite simply go in and we can make some changes in there. Now I need to also insert another M5 shoulder screw. This time it's going to go into here. So that's the wrong way round, so we'll flip the direction. Accept that. This face here, flush with this face here. Accept that. And again, I just want to make sure that this face here is going to be parallel with that face there. Accept that. And that's in place. Next, what I'm going to do is we're actually going to put the fixings in the bottom here. We're going to use the toolbox. We can insert them just as standard parts, just locate them in there, but I just want to show you how we're going to use the toolbox to do this. So I've opened my toolbox, and we'll open that up. Take a bit of time to load. Okay, we're going to be ISO. We're going to be into the bolts. So open this up a little bit more. Hexagonal socket head. Going to load those. We're using a 4762. So I'm going to zoom into this position here. It's going to drag that onto my assembly, locate it, and let it go. It'll run its calculations, and it should work out that it's an M5 by 8. There we go. It's M5 by 8. We can change that if we want, but obviously we don't need to. It's correct for us, so I can tick to accept that. All I'm going to do then is go in and just pop the other 3 in place. And then that's those complete. And finally, again, just to neaten it, I'm going to make that there parallel. Accept. This and this. Set those parallel. Like so. This and this. Just make them parallel. And accept. And then finally, let's go parallel with this face. Accept. And there we have it. That's the assembly complete.